Not like a special day where you get actual normal day. Like I'm talking not like like you wake up. Like give me like.
Just when everyone thought Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 had settled into its usual rhythm with Lil Scrappy, Skira, and a mix of fresh faces pulling the drama fans, suddenly dragged a ghost from the past straight into the present. Nowhere, social media timelines erupted. What started as a harmless laugh turned into one of the most dissected moments of the season. A single clip, a year-old prank, a Drake lookalike, and smack in the middle of it, all Yandy Smith-Harris and Mendeecees. It all began with a throwback video making the rounds on TikTok and Instagram Reels. At first glance, it seemed like nothing, just a goofy clip of Yandy at a restaurant, smiling, sipping, and laughing with a man who looked suspiciously like Drake. But this wasn't just some random viral moment. This was footage from a prank, cooked up by Lil Mendeecees, their son. The prank, dropped over a year ago on YouTube, featured him hiring a Drake lookalike to prank his family. It was meant to be lighthearted, silly, innocent, but this time, people weren't laughing. Because when the video resurfaced, fans didn't just scroll past it. They analyzed it. They slowed it down, zoomed in, added captions, overlays, emotional music. What had once been a harmless joke was now being reinterpreted as a red flag, a sign. Crack in the armor of Yandy and Mendeecees' picture-perfect relationship. In the video, Yandy can be seen at a restaurant table, hair laid, smile, glowing as the Drake lookalike leans in, offers her a drink, and hits her with flirtatious energy. Yandy plays along, laughing, chatting, even accepting a drink. But then the camera shifts. That's when Mendeecees walks in, and the vibe changes. He strolls into the scene cool as ever, yelling no scene, just composed. But in his eyes, fans claimed they saw pain, shock, betrayal, discomfort. And once that theory caught fire online, there was no turning back. Clips were chopped and remixed, merged with recent scenes from Season 13 where Yandy appears distant, cold, or emotionally detached. Viewers started painting a narrative in real time. Was this the real reason Yandy and Mendeecees had been so quiet this season? Because let's be clear, this couple, usually central to the love and hip-hop chaos, had taken a noticeable backseat. While Scrappy and Skira dominated headlines with their chaos, Yandy and Mendeecees were silent shadows in the background, barely speaking, barely together. Now fans had receipts to explain why. The blogs ate it up. YouTubers dropped titles like Yandy's Drake moment, was it really just a prank? And Mendeecees, cool or crushed? Fan pages posted montages, one moment showing Yandy giggling at the Drake lookalike, the next showing her at a cast dinner, ignoring Mendeecees completely. Even clips from past interviews started resurfacing. Interviews where Mendeecees talked about adjusting to life post-prison, about how hard it was to rebuild trust in the spotlight. Suddenly, those quotes hit different. Old tweets from Yandy, like the one where she wrote, "Protecting my peace at all costs," were now being dragged into the conversation. Was she dropping subliminals? Were they fighting privately? Was the prank a mask for something deeper? And then, without warning, Mendeecees broke his silence. It wasn't a live, not a sit-down interview, not even a story post. It was a single comment under a popular gossip blog's post that had reposted the infamous prank clip. For words, "Y'all gotta relax." He followed it with, "That was little man's prank. Stop turning it into something it's not." But instead of putting the fire out, that comment only threw gasoline on it. Some fans believed him. They said, "See, nothing to see here. Just a family having fun." Others weren't so forgiving. If it really wasn't a big deal, they said, then why even respond at all? And just like that, the narrative split into two timelines. The one on screen, where Yandy and Mendeecees were still technically together, and the one online, where fans were convinced their relationship was secretly unraveling behind closed doors. What made it worse? The body language breakdowns. Social media detectives, self-proclaimed micro-expression experts, started dissecting every moment from the prank. They zoomed in on Mendeecees' eyes, his clenched jaw, his half-smile. They studied how Yandy leaned in, how she laughed a little too hard, how she touched her hair while talking to the Drake lookalike. All of it was treated like courtroom evidence in Yandy's silence. It only made things louder. Week after week, the new season aired, and Yandy still hadn't addressed it. No clarification, no denial, no clapback, not even a tweet. For a woman known to defend her image quickly and fiercely, this was out of character. And the fans? They noticed. Some said she's smart. She's not feeding the fire. Others said she's hiding something. Even Lil Mendeecees caught stray. Heat. Some fans claimed he was wrong to post the prank in the first place. That maybe he didn't understand how public perception could twist something innocent. Others defended him, saying he was just a kid having fun, and that the internet was the one dragging it into something darker. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a prank anymore. It was a phenomenon. Every single new episode. Fans tuned in not for the scripted drama, but for clues. Did Yandy look away when Mendeecees entered a room? Was he sitting one chair too far from her? Did she laugh too hard at someone else's joke? Every glance, every expression, every silence was magnified. Even the Love and Hip Hop cast started reacting quietly, but noticeably. Some supporting cast members liked posts hinting at tension. Others reposted memes. And the official Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Instagram page didn't help matters when they dropped a behind-the-scenes group photo. With Yandy and Mendeecees standing on opposite sides of the frame, fans went wild in the comments. Look how far apart they are. They're done, and just not saying it. Y'all really think this was just a prank? What sealed the deal for some viewers was a scene. In episode 5, it was nothing major, just a cast dinner. But Yandy sat with her arms folded, lips tight, barely speaking. Meanwhile, Mendeecees chatted with another cast member across the table, not looking in her direction once. And if you were already caught up in the viral video saga at that moment, felt like confirmation. So here we are. What started as a silly YouTube moment from over a year ago, it's now exploded into the biggest off-camera storyline of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13. Yandy and Mendeecees, once seen as unshakable, are now the focus of relentless scrutiny, not because of something dramatic or scandalous, but because of a look, a laugh, a prank, and a silence that refuses to be broken. And the real question is, where do they go from here? As the storm of speculation continued to swell online, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 rolled forward, business as usual on screen. But off-camera, the fire surrounding Yandy and Mendeecees was only growing. And while the rest of the cast was busy dealing with new love triangles and petty beefs, viewers were laser-focused on one couple. The ones not saying a word, its silence was no longer peaceful, it was suspicious. By this point, fans weren't just theorizing, they were investigating. Social media turned into a full-time forensics lab. TikTok threads, Reddit posts, and YouTube breakdowns piled up. Creators started putting out 30 to 60-minute videos breaking down the emotional distance between Yandy and Mendeecees, frame by frame. The most dramatic parts weren't based on confrontations. They were based on glances, body language, stillness. Somebody slowed down a moment from the cast retreat scene, Mendeecees. Standing off to the side while Yandy helped pour drinks with the girls, he didn't walk over, didn't smile. He just watched, then looked away. That 1 second became a whole conversation. You see that? One fan wrote under a clip, "That's the look of a man still thinking about the Drake dude." And like wildfire, the post exploded. This wasn't just internet mess anymore. It was becoming a pressure cooker that even VH1 producers couldn't ignore. While the official show hadn't addressed the prank video, and pages and Love and Hip Hop based media platforms started dropping polls like, "Do you think Yandy and Mendeecees are hiding something? Should VH1 air the real truth about the Drake prank fallout?" And the results? Thousands of responses, most people saying they felt like something deeper was brewing. Fans weren't just watching the show, they were reading between the silences. Meanwhile, Yandy stayed locked in silence. No tweets, no lives, no confessional responses, not even an IG story reacting to the mess. And that silence, it screamed louder than a cast fight in a hotel hallway. What really sent fans into a spiral was when an old Love and Hip Hop reunion clip resurfaced.
In it,
Yandy talked about how she felt disrespected by small things Mendeecees would do. Things he thought were harmless but cut deep for her. That resurfaced moment was stitched side by side with the Drake look-alike clip. And the caption read, "She told y'all years ago." Now look, from that point, the narrative wasn't just alive, it had mutated. Some fans started speculating that maybe Yandy never truly forgave Mendeecees for some past issues. The prank only exposed cracks that were already there. Others flipped. The script and said maybe Mendeecees had lost trust. Maybe the way Yandy smiled at that man, even as a joke, triggered something deeper. A bruise that hadn't healed. And the producers, well, they were watching too. Insiders started whispering that VH1 was planning to acknowledge the prank incident in a late-season confessional. Nothing confirmed, of course, but the love and hip-hop fandom doesn't wait for permission to speculate. Every frame, every clip, every cast selfie became a potential clue. Even a simple post from Yandy promoting her skincare line was filled with comments like, "Where's Mendeecees though? You glowing? But is the relationship still shining? She's back posting but still not addressing the video." The quiet made everything louder. To make things messier, fans began tagging other love and hip-hop stars, begging them to comment on the situation. A few liked shady posts. One reposted a meme of the prank clip with the caption, "Drake really pulling families apart out here." Whether it was a joke or a jab, fans ate it up. But then came another shift. This time, from Lil Mendeecees himself. Out of nowhere, he quietly deleted the original prank video off his YouTube channel. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. And that deletion, that was all fans needed to launch a whole new conspiracy theory wave. Why take it down if it wasn't that deep? He must have gotten heat from both parents. They trying to clean it up behind the scenes. It was like tossing gasoline into a fire that was already out of control. Commentators, bloggers, and even podcasters now began connecting dots that had never been dots to begin with. Someone dug up an old interview from Yandy years ago, where she talked about how jokes can sometimes cross the line. That quote got ripped, turned into a graphic, and went viral all over again. Yandy been telling us. And in the shadows of all this noise, Mendeecees posted one more time. Just a picture of him sitting alone, wearing sunglasses, with the caption, "Real ones move in silence." Fans were divided instantly. Some said he was over it. Others said he was heartbroken. Some even thought he was throwing shade at Yandy for staying silent herself. Then came the plot twist nobody saw coming. Major fan page dropped what they claimed was a leaked DM from someone close to production. The DM claimed that in the next few episodes, the cast would have a sit-down dinner where someone would bring up the prank and ask Yandy directly about it. The page said producers were debating whether or not to leave it in the final cut. And once that rumor hit, the countdown began. Fans flooded the love and hip-hop Instagram comments with things like, "If y'all don't air this, we not watching? Give us the real tea." And we saw the video, Yandy. And Mendeecees owed the fans honesty. Now, the pressure was on the network too. What started as a personal family moment had exploded into a storyline fans were demanding resolution to. Even if neither party wanted to entertain it anymore, what made the entire thing so sticky was how real it felt. Like some of the shows. Wilder moments, staged fights, random hookups, dramatic walkouts. This was based on a raw, unscripted prank clip from a family channel. There was no camera crew, no producers pushing a scene, no makeup-ready lighting. It felt authentic, which is why the fans clung to it so tightly in the following episodes. Yandy and Mendeecees still showed up, but there was a noticeable tension. The warm touches gone, the inside jokes missing. They were present physically, but absent emotionally. And fans noticed. One scene showed them sitting across from each other at a dinner. Yandy barely touched her food. Mendeecees looked down at his phone most of the night. There was a long pause between them. The kind of pause that says everything without saying anything. The camera cut away after a few seconds. But for fans, that was the whole episode. Then came a moment that sent shivers down every longtime viewer's spine. Yandy posted a quote on her story. White text on a black screen. No context. It read, "Sometimes people don't see how much it hurt until you laugh at the wrong time." That post, that sentence, that timing. Fans exploded. She's talking about that prank. Y'all still think this wasn't real? It's giving heartbreak in silence. At this point, it wasn't just drama anymore. It was emotional. Warfare through social media, silent shots fired through captions and reactions, and yet no direct confirmations. No interviews, no blogs getting a statement, just silence. But that silence had built a world of noise. And then, almost as if on cue, another moment from the past came back to haunt the timeline. A flashback clip from the early seasons, Yandy talking about loyalty. Adi. She had once said, "If you can't laugh with me, don't laugh behind me. If you ever make me look stupid in public, don't expect me to stay silent in private." That line started trending again. Because that's the thing about the love and hip-hop fan base, they don't forget, they connect, compare. They reframe old words in new light. And when that happens, everything gets amplified, especially when two of the show's most beloved figures are involved. At this point, the Drake look-alike prank had overshadowed the season's actual storylines. People weren't talking about Scrappy and Skira, or the newcomers trying to claw their way into the spotlight. The conversation, the drama, the energy, it was all centered on Yandy and Mendeecees. And the scariest part? They didn't even have to say a word for it to happen. In the days leading up to what fans believed would be the confrontation episode, even outside celebrities began chiming in. One rapper reposted the prank clip, writing, "I don't care what anyone says. If that was my wife giggling with fake Drake, it's war." That post alone triggered a whole new wave of discussion about boundaries, respect, and whether pranks like this ever really stay harmless when filmed and posted online. And deep down, everyone knew. This situation wasn't about Drake, it was about trust. Yandy had built a brand on loyalty, on standing by her man through prison, court, chaos. She had earned her respect. So when fans saw a crack, even a tiny one, they reacted like they were witnessing the downfall of royalty. Mendeecees, the man who'd once stood tall as the rock beside her, now looked tired, guarded, unreadable, and the fans. They were watching everything, the way they hugged or didn't. It's the way they spoke or stayed quiet. It's the way the show framed their scenes or didn't frame them at all. What had begun as a laugh turned into the loudest. Silence, love, and Hap had ever witnessed, and now everyone's waiting for just one thing, a confession, a breakdown, a confrontation. Will Yandy finally speak? Will Mendeecees open up? Will VH1 air the truth or sweep it under the rug? Whatever happens, one thing is clear, that prank may have lasted 3 minutes, but its impact might define an entire season. And in the world of love and hip-hop, where perception becomes reality, that's more powerful than any fight, any curse out, or any stage scene. Because this time, the drama didn't come from a script, it came from a laugh. And maybe that's what makes it hit hardest.